A very good afternoon to you tuned into UBC TV. Warmly welcome to our lunchtime news. My name is Michael Jedanokomo and we'll go straight to what we have for you this afternoon. The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda has officially launched the 7th edition of its student scholarship program for the 2025 intake. This scholarship offers comprehensive financial support covering all ICPAU related expenses, including registration, annual studentship fees, examination fees and study materials. A total of 10 slots are available for eligible applicants.
By virtue of the authority entrusted unto me, I declare the 7th edition of the scholarship program launched.
Speaking at the launch of the Student Scholarship Program for 2025, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda Vice President Ronald Mutumba highlighted that the initiative aims to improve the accountancy profession by supporting learners. Mutumba stated that applicants must have completed their bachelor's degree in 2024, attaining either first class or second upper honors from a public university or a private chartered university recognized by the National Council for Higher Education.
Every organization, every business, anywhere you go, the services of an accountant will always be required. It's not only in employment, even in your social circles, even at the church where we go to pray.
The scholarship will fully cover costs for registration, annual renewal, examination fees and study materials. Applicants are required to submit a 300-word essay outlining their aspirations to become professional accountants alongside their academic transcripts. Charles Byaruhanga, the Education Manager of Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, emphasized the program's vision of nurturing future leaders in professional accountancy.
And what is the expectation? To study diligently, to complete the course, and become accountants. That's why this scheme was established, to facilitate the development of Ugandans to become.
During the event, seasoned accountant and academic Andrew Kawere underlined the adverse career opportunities at CPA designation offers, including roles as strategic business advisors, owners of private accounting firms, and key players in various industries.
Networks with your peers, networks with the professionals that you meet in forums such as this one here. Okay, and that's what I mean by being proactive as you go through this journey. Let it not only be about passing the paper. Okay, think about yourselves as a profession or as professionals.
The 2025 scholarship recipients will commence their CPA journey in May with an expected course completion timeline of 2.5 years.
This scholarship program is going to be critical in adding to the stock of accountants in Uganda.
Instead of going for masters, encourage yourself. For me, don't believe in being motivated by other people. You have to motivate yourself. That, do I need this? Yes. If at all I need it, what do I have to do?
These students will be equipped with skills to excel in key fields such as tax consultancy, financial management, auditing, financial reporting, management accounting, and insolvency practice.
You have got the scholarship. I urge you all to put in the effort and focus on it. You will pass.
My schedules for class, if class was starting at 9 a.m., I was always there by 8:45. Even this meeting, I was there in my car by 8:40. Timekeeping is very key if you want to be successful.
Launched in 2019 as part of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative, the scholarship program has so far supported 60 students over 6 cycles, helping them realize their dreams of becoming professional accountants. I'm Nafka Farid and Vincent Wamundu.
Now, the Auditor General, Edward Akol, has submitted the annual audit report for the year 2023-24 financial year to Parliament, detailing Uganda's consolidated financial statements. While addressing the Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, the Auditor General highlighted significant findings, including the illegal payment of 22.393 billion shillings in gratuity benefits to 1,502 pensioners.
The 2023-2024 annual audit report centered on implementation of the approved budget, parish development model, pension payroll management, and management of procurements in government. Submitting the report to Parliament, the Auditor General, Edward Akol, noted the unfunded gap of 7.1 trillion in the 2023-2024 budget that affected service delivery across government operations.
My assessment on a sample of 98 MDA's activities for implementation revealed that 47% of the outputs were actually fully implemented, while 51% and 2% of the outputs were partially and unimplemented, respectively.
The report also indicates that in the fiscal year, the external debt has grown by 2.2%. The increase has been driven by borrowing from multilateral creditors,
which has expanded from Uganda shillings 33.06 trillion to Uganda shillings 35.1 trillion shillings.
The report reveals that 1,502 pensioners were paid an excess 22.393 billion gratuity benefits. This happened in 19 MDAs and 115 local governments. The AG notes that if the mess is left untouched, the country projects an expenditure increment by 4.5 trillion shillings annually on gratuity by 2034.
The sustainability of our pension system faces mounting pressure from multiple fronts, such as early retirement policies allowing exits at the age of 45, enhanced pay from science professional, among others.
In regard to the implementation status of the parish development model, Parliament appropriated 1.1 trillion shillings. Whereas a lot has been achieved to implement the program, there are still gaps.
These circles also lack registered offices. Some of them implement ineligible projects. There is lack of accountability in certain instances, and then in certain instances also non-existent projects, among others.
The report also shows substantial challenges in the health sector, where government had to write off 316.65 billion shillings debt for COVID-19 vaccines, among others.
There's an increase from last year's 33 billion shillings. This represents a significant waste of resources that could have been saved or utilized given the pressing healthcare needs.
However, the AG noted a slow implementation by accounting officers on the recommendations passed by Parliament.
Out of the 2,803 recommendations made by accountability committees, based on my verification of the Treasury Memoranda, I noted that only 31% of these recommendations were fully implemented.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, assured the Auditor General that accounting officers that don't comply are to be dealt with.
The issue now, the issue of the Treasury Memoranda, we are going to handle it ourselves internally with the accounting officers. And we shall be bringing this to the attention of the leader of government business, that we are going to be very, very tough when it comes to implementation of the recommendations of the Auditor General as adopted by Parliament.
Tayebwa tasked the entity to closely look into the procurement of audit options, especially at the local government, in order to fight corruption. Lydia Chomkama and Gloria Gwitaminji, Parliament.
Still in Parliament, the Budget Committee has tasked the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to explain 4 billion Uganda shillings support to the recently presented supplementary budget. This followed the response by the Minister of State for Finance in charge of general duties, Henry Musasizi, on how the supplementary budget amounting to 1.51 trillion will be financed. Government requested for a provision of 152 billion to MDAs and enable the votes collect 400 billion. According to Musasizi, the supplementary budget is a result of budget cuts made by Parliament in the current approved budget of 72.137 trillion.
To grant it for us.
The Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of general duties, Henry Musasizi, told the members of Parliament sitting on the Committee of Budget that the supplementary budget requested by government resulted from the budget cuts during the processing of the budget for financial year 2024-2025.
So when we realized it in June, we said no, this was an error. This was an anomaly.
Musasizi stresses that the non-wage cuts across boards were almost by 30%, which affected some of the votes.
When we came to implementation of the budget, we realized that part of this cut was the lifeblood of these entities.
The supplementary budget being scrutinized amounts to 1.051 trillion shillings. Minister Musasizi calls for reinstatement of the budget cuts after some votes were affected by the recent policy of rationalization where some MDAs had shortfalls in wage and salaries. But the MPs, led by Chairman of the Budget Committee, Patrick Isiaji, tasked Minister Musasizi to explain how the MDAs will utilize 192 billion shillings requested to generate 400 billion shillings to support the budget.
I don't have a macro person here, the one who works on the projections. I go, sit with the team who projects for us, look at the entities which have committed to give us revenue, we add up and see what can come to. But it can either be higher or lower than the 400 which I presented yesterday. I thank you.
It guides now performance measurement. Otherwise, if we just went with the blanket story, then again we start telling you, yet we are the ones who have just received as it is, then we become part of the problem.
The permanent secretary in the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Amina Zawede, also defended the supplementary request of over 11.33 billion shillings for the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Zawede was accompanied by the UBC Managing Director, Winston Agaba.
So, Honorable Chair and members, I would call upon you to support the notion that UBC ought to be funded. It must be a vote for this country to benefit, the maximum benefit that brings about, we talk about mindset change. Mindset change will happen if we give the fourth estate the due attention it deserves.
So what was the first call on 11.3 billion was wage. So I want to assume now, unless the accounting officer went and did other things, I want to assume that UBC now has wage for the 12 months in this financial year.
The whole of it is divided. You know, procurement of equipment plus installation and all that is 11.33 billion. Yes, the wage is separate.
So wage is not in this 11.33?
It is not.
So it has not come yet?
We are in the 7th month of the year and they don't have any wage. Are your staff being paid? I'm sure the staff are not being paid. They are very demotivated. This has been a recurring problem for UBC. And I think we should help UBC solve this issue.
Meanwhile, some MPs want government to consider prioritizing the items which were dropped during the revision of the budget for financial year 2024-2025 after the President returned the Appropriation Bill 2024 and Parliament harmonized with the Executive. Minister Musasizi responded, saying the negotiation will depend on the budget process as being handled by Parliament.
We are saying now we are saying that period passed. Where should we put those other items that were dropped in the last budget?
Okay.
Can we hear from the minister?
Schools, ambulances, and the others. So what do you plan there? Since you are in the same country, even Rwanda is part of that.
Our budget process is consultative in nature. And that is why I'm here, to consult you and seek your approval with recommendations.
When it comes to that time, let us prioritize those items. Come 2025, 2026.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Almost all of them except me.
From Parliament, we'll take a short break. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it with us.
Here's your chance to win school fees for your child for a whole year. Just pay school fees using Momo. Dial *165 *80#. Select option 2 for school pay. Select option 1 to pay school fees. Enter the student number and amount and approve the transaction. You will now enter the draw to win school fees.
The holiday table.
Tukwaniriza waka eri ebisanyusa. Eri Wi-Fi buli wamu. Eri speedi za internet ezawaggulu. Eri obukuumi. Eri obuyambi obuli mu ddaala erisooka. Eri okwanguyirizibwa. Tukwaniriza waka eri MTN Wakanet. Internet ensukkulumu eri buli maka. Kyalira www.mtn.co.ug kasale Wakanet. Tukwaniriza waka nga tuli wamu tewali kitulema.
We thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. In the business side, Kira Motors is not only creating jobs but also driving wealth creation and setting a new benchmark for electric mobility in Africa. The Chief Executive Officer, Kira Motors facility in Jinja, Paul Isaac Musasizi, shares his ambitious vision for the company's future in public transit and other sectors.
Given an exclusive access to Kira Motors Corporation. What a remarkable sight of how Ugandans are determined to put buses on the road. The last time I was here, this was just a concept vehicle. But now they have over 39 buses locally made here in Uganda by Ugandans.
My name is Paul Isaac Musasizi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Kira Motors Corporation. A state enterprise fully owned by the government of the Republic of Uganda that has set up the Kira Vehicle Plant. And the Kira Vehicle Plant is the biggest, most capable, and most competent bus manufacturing plant on the African continent.
How many are you able to make a day or in a month?
Yeah, so because it's a line, it's a process. The journey from the machine shop to pre-delivery inspection is 14 days. So what we watch is at the end what comes out a day. So with the current tooling, we are capable of releasing 11 buses. That's the installed capacity today, 11 buses a day. We have the body shop, that is for frame and body manufacturing. The paint shop, which is for protection and decoration. The chassis line, that is where the core assembly operation starts with these parts sourced from international value chains. Then we go to the trim and fine assembly, So just line, of course, steering system, brake system, brake axle, suspension, and also some of the powertrain components and the first line of electrical. It's quite still there, vehicles on tires. Then we go to trim and fine assembly to do the upholstery and all the exterior and interior trim components like the wipers, the lights, and all those applications, the floorboards. Then we go to the quality inspection and testing, and then we are ready for pre-delivery inspection.
10 years ago, this was just a dream. They had a concept bus called Kayola. I was privileged to visit the center at the time. They were in a small garage. Today, they are in one of the largest bus manufacturing plants that I've ever visited. This is an incredible example of what determined Ugandans can do. They set out on a mission to build the most durable electric buses on the African continent, and as we speak today, they have buses on the roads in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. And a tour on one of these branded buses made by Ugandans.
This is the 55-passenger city bus, fully electric.
Wow, what a smooth ride.
You need energy infrastructure to power the electric buses. So this charger here is used to charge the buses. On an electric vehicle, if you're going to go very fast all the time, you won't go fast. So you need to know what your goals are. In order for you to go far, you need to drive at a particular optimum speed that will get you the nominal range. If you rev the vehicle quite up and you go very fast, certainly you'll be drawing quite a lot of current continuously, and this will compromise your nominal range.
What does this say about Uganda's readiness to compete globally?
Manufacturing is critical. And now when we set up the biggest, most capable, most competent bus manufacturing plant with the tech, you see, Industry 4+ tech being deployed here for productivity, for precision tooling to produce world-class products. What we are saying is that we are ready to play in the power industrialization and innovation space. It's very strategic for Uganda, of course, with the leadership of His Excellency, the President, to enable something like this to be in place so that we provide a platform that can draw all these industrial value chains to enable more value addition in the country. That's where you create opportunity, that's where you increase your GDP.
When I first talked to you many years ago, this was just a dream. There we are standing right here.
Was it even on paper yet?
Yeah.
A decade ago.
This is close to a dream come true.
Yeah.
Has your dream come true?
We have made finite steps. We have clear milestones. The plan is in place, but the dream is a moving target. The dream continues to become more apparent as more things get on ground. And yes, have we realized a significant part of the dream? Yes. We are privileged to somebody to see that we are here today. This is just the beginning.
On the international scene, Israel and Hamas have reached a phased ceasefire agreement, including the release of hostages held by the militant group for over a year. President Joe Biden has urged former President Donald Trump to assist in the implementation of the deal.
Celebrations in Gaza as beleaguered residents learned that, at long last, a ceasefire deal has been struck. Anxiety in Tel Aviv, where hostages' families waited to learn if their loved ones would be among the first tranche released in the multi-stage deal. And relief in Washington, as President Joe Biden, nearing the final days of his presidency, hailed a three-phase ceasefire deal that ends 15 months of violence, displacement, and anxiety.
Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families.
President-elect Donald Trump said on his social media network that he was thrilled by the deal and that his administration would build upon its success to expand the U.S.-mediated Abraham Accords to normalize Arab-Israeli relations. Analysts say Trump's fiery threats last week of all hell breaking loose unless there was a deal before his inauguration may have played a role.
Really, there isn't very much more hell that you could unleash on the current inhabitants of Gaza. They're already in hell. But There's also the feeling that he must have placed some pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu as well, and this is why we are now moving forward.
And what about the day after? Analysts are not optimistic that the next administration can reach a two-state solution.
I don't see it under the Trump administration, and that's not squarely a criticism of the Trump administration or anyone else. I think both the Israelis and Palestinians are so far off on making the sort of the hard agreements necessary to achieve a two-state solution.
The deal Qatar's prime minister laid out has 3 stages. First, the release of an initial 33 hostages over the course of a 42-day ceasefire, and an increased flow of aid into Gaza. Then negotiations begin on the second phase, which aims to bring the conflict to a permanent end, alongside a full Israeli withdrawal and the release of all remaining hostages. And the third phase covers the proverbial day after, Gaza's rebuilding with a new governing and security structure. Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
In his farewell address from the Oval Office on Wednesday evening, U.S. President Joe Biden warned against the dangers of power and wealth concentration. The speech marked the conclusion of his decade-long political career and a 4-year term as president, just days before Donald Trump's second inauguration.
President Joe Biden will leave the White House when his term ends on January 20th. In his farewell address Wednesday evening, he left a warning.
The dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms.
The president did not say who he meant by oligarchy, but some of the nation's biggest billionaires, including Elon Musk, have forged close ties with President-elect Donald Trump. Without naming anyone, Biden made a jab at the recent decision by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg that the social media company, which owns Facebook and Instagram, would stop working with fact-checkers.
The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies, told for power and for profit.
Biden ended his term on a high note on foreign policy. Just hours earlier, he announced that Israel and Hamas had reached a ceasefire and hostage agreement in Gaza. The deal will largely be implemented by the incoming administration.
That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
In a letter released Wednesday, Biden reflected on how his administration began in the shadows of COVID and the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol by a mob of Trump supporters intent on overturning the result of the 2020 election that Biden won. Biden is leaving office after 1 term with only a 39% approval rating according to Gallup. How his legacy will be remembered may also depend on his successor.
If Trump is really proves to be as dangerous to democratic norms as Biden and the Democrats suggested, then I think he may be seen as very prophetic. But otherwise, I think if things are less apocalyptic with Trump and you see more or less a more normal presidency that runs into problems and has some achievements, I think Biden will be more remembered for what he actually accomplished.
Biden's accomplishment, the White House said, include leading a strong economic recovery. And while Biden attempted to wind down foreign entanglements, he is criticized mostly for the chaotic U.S. exit from Afghanistan. Biden ended by thanking the nation for the privilege to serve.
I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard.
Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News at the White House.
In the world of sports, the She Cranes have completed a 9th day in readiness for the Vitality Netball Nations Cup with a session in the Hams Stadium, Nachivubo Gym. As the She Cranes went through their paces, Uganda's Koko women's team at the World Cup in India registered its 3rd win.
The Hams Stadium Nachivubo Gym has today hosted the She Cranes that is preparing for the Vitality Netball Nations Cup to be hosted by England next month. The session lasted close to 1 hour and was attended by the majority of players that are in camp for the Nations Cup, at which England, Malawi and South Africa are the opponents for Uganda.
Indeed, it was really a marvelous session. Like today, when we are going for team session, in fact, it's what every player needs, because in today's netball, there's lots of physicality. Everyone has to be very physical, mostly on the side of strengthening and conditioning. It's on the team session which can help each and every player at least to gain much energy and strengthen their bodies. In fact, it was the best ever moment we had today when we went for the team session. As you saw, it was so marvelous, and everyone was just enjoying whatever drill they were giving us. Miles away in India, Uganda women's Coco team has beaten Australia 95-20 and followed this with a 102-10 walloping of Netherlands. Though the entire team was in inspirational form, Irina Natabi was a notch higher than most, while Grace O'Gill has been exceptional in all 3 games Uganda has played. The team has now won 3 games and tops Group B ahead of the final group game against Kenya tomorrow morning.
That brings us to the end of all we had for you this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. Let's catch you in our other bulletins, Luganda, Kiswahili, and I'll be here myself for News Tonight. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.